America, where everyone has a voice, but too many fail to speak. Too many don't know the foundation of our nation, have never read the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, or the Articles of Confederation, and fail to end up in a voting booth. It's time for change. Welcome to the Voice of Young America with Justin Austin, a platform for young America to voice their ideals and have meaningful dialogue on politics, economics, and social issues. Connect at thevoyatampabay.weebly.com. Now, the host of the Voice of Young America, Justin Austin.
Welcome to the Voice of Young America. I'm your star host, Justin Austin. Thank you, folks, for tuning in to another broadcast. I hope you like the show. You're still listening, so I'm gonna take that as a yes. Let's dive right in. We're gonna start off with our political section, and we want to focus on Florida. That's the home state, and we want to talk about this new gun law that was passed, which is pretty interesting. The Florida legislature has been mostly dominated by Republicans since the mid-1990s, and there's been a lot of gun legislation talk for the longest of time, and not much has passed. And now they passed a bill within the quickness. The Marjorie Stoneman school shooting happened a little bit under a month ago, maybe a month today, and within less than a month, 3 weeks actually, the Florida legislature passed gun law legislation, which is interesting, right? And then Governor Rick Scott signed the bill. Now, they said up until this point, this past Friday, that Governor Rick Scott had a perfect track record or voting record or signing record with the NRA. And they said this puts a blemish on his record. I like to disagree. I don't think it put a blemish on his record. I think the NRA steps up from where they stand, but they're not unrealistic. They understand the positions of a governor and what's the right thing to do. So I don't think it puts a blemish on his record. But let's think about the law. And the viewpoint I want to go from is first, wow, 3 weeks, right? So if this school shooting never happened in Florida, if it took place in California, would it make a difference? Right? That's what you got to ask yourself. What is the true cause for these laws being passed? When you have a populist government, that means that whatever's popular among the people, among the voters, it will be reflected by the legislation that is passed. That's called populism. We're democracy. That's not the way it works. But it's working that way now? Interesting, right? When you look at it from the standpoint of what happened in Orlando when the gentleman went and shot up the club in Orlando, the Post nightclub. Let me ask you, how much gun legislation was passed? I don't remember anything was passed. I mean, when I did my research, I didn't come across anything, but I might have missed something. But I don't think within the first 3 weeks after the Post nightclub shooting that something was passed, and 49 people died. I don't think you guys heard that. 49 people died at the Post nightclub. 17 students died at Marjorie Stone High School. What's the difference? What is the actual difference? Because more people died, and they died without having anything to do wrong, just like those students died without nothing wrong. But now we have $67 million in a new program, new Marshall program for schools in Florida. What do we have for those who want to just enjoy recreation and entertainment without being killed? What kind of laws can they pass? Can they put more police officers at nightclubs? Are they going to create a Marshall Plan for entertainment in Orlando and Florida in general? I ask these questions not because I'm against the law. I ask these questions because we have to remember we are a country of laws and principles. And if we rush past principles to pass laws, we will be hurting our future. Now, I went to Pinellas County Republicans.com the other day. Somebody sent me a link, so I went and checked it out. And there was a quote from Reagan, and it said that this country, this freedom that we have, is not passed down from generation to generation through the bloodline. We're one generation away from losing the privileges and the progress that we've acquired over the centuries. One generation away. And once those principles are not passed down through exemplifying them, through promoting them, through embodying them, then that can be lost. So with that being said, are we doing the right thing by being reactive in our political sphere? Are we doing the right thing? I know people are upset. We hate when children die, but we should hate when people die, period. Why are we only passing laws when there's so much outrage? Was there not outrage over Post nightclub? Was there not outrage over the 58 people who died and hundreds that were wounded in California? Well, in Las Vegas? Was there not? I just don't want this country to start being so reactive based off populism that we start to lose sight of or lose hold of what our principles are, what this great country actually is built upon. Now let's go further into the law. So the first thing, they raised all guns now can only be purchased by someone who are 21 years of old or older. 21 years of or older. So it used to be 18 for I believe rifles and shotguns, and then now it's all guns. So you had to be 21 to purchase a handgun from a licensed dealer, and federal law is a little bit different, but now it's 21 for all guns in the state of Florida, period, point blank. And there's other states trying to pick up on this type of legislation. We'll get to that next. But so the first thing was raising the age, right? The minimum age requirement. That's something that the NRA is calling unconstitutional based on the Second and 14th Amendment. Second Amendment, right to bear arms. 14th Amendment, you cannot abridge on any United States citizen's rights. And then the next thing would be the elimination of bump stocks, which basically allows a gun to fire at a higher rate. So you take a semi-automatic like the gentleman had in Las Vegas, Nevada. He put a bump stock on it, and then now that thing was spitting out way faster than the semi-automatic would. So they outlawed those, which is okay, understandable. Now they created $67 million Marshall program to put more law enforcement in the schools, to actually train, not teachers. Let's clarify this. It's not teachers. It's librarians. It's school counselors and principals. And this is not mandatory. This is something that they can take. But they also have to take, I believe, a 12-hour diversity course, which I don't know what diversity and gun training have to do with one another, but I'm sure they have a reason for it. Also, they are increasing mental health, which I'm never against increasing mental health. If someone has a mental health issue, let's provide something for them. So these things aren't bad things. I mean, more mental health programs are good. The last thing that they're doing, they're adding the mental health, the gun age. They're adding the Marshall program. They're adding more officers. And then the sweet spot is adding the fact that if you have domestic violence, if you have been Baker acted, if you have been considered or deemed dangerous, then they can take your weapons away. They can confiscate your weapons. Also, they can prohibit you from actually acquiring a gun or a concealed weapon license within at least for a 1-year period. Now, that's where it gets real tricky, right? Because of the fact that who's, first of all, reporting this information into the background check system? Who's making sure that this information is accurate? That's one of the problems with the national database that they have for background checks for guns, is that information is there, but it's not being inputted into the system. These agencies aren't coordinating with one another. These agencies aren't communicating with one another. So then those who, like I believe the shooter in San Antonio a couple years ago, he had domestic violence in his background, but due to the fact that it wasn't added to his profile, he was able to purchase a gun. These and the 3-day waiting period, they're adding whichever is longer, 3-day waiting period or a background check, whichever takes longer is going to prevent you from getting a gun for that period of time. So those are the things that they added to this new law. And once again, there's nothing wrong with these laws except the one where they can infringe on your right to bear arms. That's that 14th Amendment, which is taking away guns from people, because that one gets tricky. It's not a black and white issue. This thing will become what they call, it's going to be determined on a case-by-case basis, which makes things arbitrary, because it's no legitimate way or uniform way to go about doing that. So that's going to face definitely some backlash, in which I said the 14th Amendment, that may deem that part of the law unconstitutional. So at some point, I think the MRA is going to take it to probably the Florida Supreme Court. It might even go all the way to the United States Supreme Court. The NRA has a lot of funds to fight this, so we should see what's going to happen. But there's a chain effect when these things happen. You have, I believe, Connecticut has already passed laws. You have, I believe, Missouri's thinking about passing laws. You have other states that are now, they've already either implemented something or they're stepping up to the next level. And this is reactionary politics. Something happens in Florida, now everybody's doing it. But who put laws in place after 49 people died at Post nightclub? Now, let's point it out. It was a homosexual nightclub. It was a gay nightclub. Is that the reason? Is that the reason why no laws were passed? Because if 17 students die between the ages of 14 and 18, is backlash over the whole world. But these 49 people who are in this LGBTQ nightclub die, and what is it? Pray for Paris, pray for Post nightclub, and then move on with your life. No legislation. People are not concerned with people dying. Let's make that clear. People are concerned with those who they know that are dying, or a particular group they have an affection towards. And when that being said, we're not making laws because we are adverse to death. We're not making laws based on that. We're not making laws because we're trying to cherish and preserve life, because if we cared about life, there would be no abortion. Let's make this distinctly clear. It's not about life. It's about people's emotions and affections towards certain groups. And who's not affectionate about children? I totally am. I love them. So I'm for the law, but I'm not for the cause of the law. Because we should have had these put in place back when Post nightclub happened. We should have had this put in place after Aurora. We should have had this put in place after Columbine. We should have had this put in place after Virginia Tech. We should have had this put in place after Las Vegas. We should have had to put this in place after San Antonio. It's reactionary politics. That's not American. That's seriously super liberal Europe or something. We're not sticking to and holding to our values as Americans. We're being moved and led like sheep. Bad guys are now determining our laws. Bad guys are now determining what laws get put into place. We have to wait for the next bad man to do something so the so-called good guys can actually put some in place. When bad men actually start determining what laws get passed, that's when we stop being America. This is the voice of young America, and we need to talk about this. This is a real issue. We'll be back. Check out our sponsors, Justin Austin.
You're listening to the voice of young America with Justin Austin. Watch what happens on the Voice of Young America YouTube channel. The Voice of Young America on AM 860. The Answer.
I'm Justin Austin, host of The Voice of Young America. When it comes to complete auto repair and fast service, check out the pros at AutoLens Center, 1308 East Bush Boulevard in Tampa, providing professional quality work on all American-made and foreign car models. Great pricing on complete auto repair services, oil changes, and brakes. AutoLens Center at 1308 East Bush Boulevard, where experience and good service go a long way. Call 813-764-7891. That's 813-764-7891. AutoLand Center.
The Voice of Young America relies on committed Americans like you to stand with us. If you're frustrated with the lack of real information being delivered to the next generation, then support Justin's efforts. Connect on social media, thevoyatampabay.weebly.com. Email thevoyatampabay@gmail.com. The Voice of Young America. To inform with truth and broadcast collectively and respectively the diverse ideals of young America. Finding skilled and unskilled tradesmen can be a problem, whether it's temporary or long-term. Rose Employment Solutions handles all of your workers' comp needs while responsibly solving your staffing problems. You make the call, they do it all. 813-644-5037. And for the quality tradesmen in search of career growth, full-time hours, and multiple pay options, call Rose Employment Solutions, 813-644-5037. Learn more at rose-emp.com or just stop by their office, 1020 West Bush Boulevard in Tampa. Welcome back to the Voice of Young America with Justin Austin. Connect with Justin by email, thevoyatampabay@gmail.com. Welcome back to the Voice of Young America. I'm your star host, Justin Austin. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors at Rose Employment Solutions. You make the call, they do it all. Check them out online, www.rose-emp.com. Now let's get into our next section, which will be the business section, economics, where we're discussing the trade deficit or the so-called trade wars that's coming up. Now, people are looking at Mr. Trump oddly, right? Because he said America first. I watched his speech, I believe it was at Davos earlier this year. And it was pretty good in my opinion. And one of the things I picked up from all the speeches about the trade wars, whether it's a tweet or speech or whatnot, and even from his press secretary, what I pick up is America first. China believes in China first. I believe the Eurozone believes in the Eurozone first. I believe Great Britain believes in Great Britain first. Let's see. Saudi Arabia believes in Saudi Arabia first. Mexico believes. Why is that ridiculous? Don't worry, I'll wait. It's not. You're the president of America, not the president of the world. And hopefully we never have a president of the world. But people look at America first like that's being pompous. I think if any American feels that they're better than any other person from a different country, I think that's wrong, because we're all human beings and child of God first before we're anything. So I think that's ridiculous. But America first, protecting America's interest, is what the president is supposed to do. And that's what you should vote for in your president. At least one of the reasons you should do so. Now, what is this whole trade deficit thing about? Because I think people get lost because they have a lack of understanding and they live by sound bites. No sound bites here, people. I need you to watch the whole show. You won't be able to run it with any sound bites. You have to watch the whole show. So let me give you the whole story. The trade deficit. China in 2017, these are rough estimates, people. Please forgive me. Because the trade deficit, I believe, in 2017 was $566 billion. 60% came from one country, China. So we have a trade deficit with China and we borrow from China. How does that work out too well? Our other trade deficits with like Canada and Mexico and Australia, those things are minimal. Now, one of the reasons for a trade deficit is because a country exports less goods and services than they import. So if we imported
$300 billion worth of products and services from China, and we only exported to China 150 billion. We have $150 billion trade deficit. That's a problem. You are not able to cover the amount of imports with the amount of exports. You need to be able to balance your budget. The current balance for America, which is the term, is in the negative. Because China, 60% of our trade deficit is with China. So if you want to know why Mr. Trump is talking about China, because that's where we're losing money. Now, one reason is because of the fact that you have what they call the strength of the dollar. The strength of the dollar compared to the yen makes a difference. But what also makes a difference is that China constantly devalues their currency. You know why? Because if the yen is at 50 cents to the dollar, well, that means that they can, of course, make more money by selling products to America. Now, on the other side is that they can make way more money if their goods are even more cheaper, if they're 30 cents instead of 50 cents. So when you have the strength of the dollar compared with the devaluation of the currency of China, and then you have all these goods that Americans can't keep their hands off of. Because one of the things that keeps countries strong economically is being a producer. Guess what America is, people? A consumer. We're only 318 billion, roughly 318 to 320 million people. China is 1.25 billion, I believe, or 1.4 billion as the latest estimates. So that means that you can fit America into China at least 4 times with the economy. But they're taking all of our money and giving us loans. How can they be a producer and we're a consumer and they have 4 times the amount of people that we have? What are they doing that we're not doing? So when Mr. Trump says, I'm going to start putting tariffs means a tax on imports, a tariff on imports. He's going to put a tariff. He's going to put a tax. I think the first one was like 15, 25% or something like that. I think he said like solar panels and washing machines, and people like, okay, who cares? Like those things are big deals. Those are huge deals. And then when you think about if he places them on automobiles, it becomes a huge thing. The automobile industry, America exports less cars than they import. That's a problem too. People are driving less American cars around the world. That is a problem economically. Mr. Trump sees that. When we're taking in all these goods and we're only shipping out so much and making so much money, we are at a deficit and we are a consumer. You don't last as a superpower economically or any other way by being a consumer. And guess what happens, right, when we keep building up this debt from this trade deficit? Because, you know, if you export 150 billion, but you import 300 billion, you have $150 billion deficit, you have to borrow money to keep that up. So what happens when America just keeps borrowing? At some point, someone's going to say, well, America's not good for it. So then the first thing they do is they raise the interest rates. And once they raise the interest rates on the government, guess what the government's going to do? It's going to raise the interest rates on the banks. And then what the banks is going to do? The banks are going to raise the interest rates on the consumer. If you want to know how you are affected, that's how it happens. And then once they get past raising interest rates, they're going to start, you know what they're going to say? We're going to cut you off. Yeah, I know you're America, but you're just not the same America you used to be. So we're going to cut you off. And when they do cut you off, guess what happens? That means, oh man, less Chinese toys, less Chinese TVs, less Malaysian Barbie dolls, less Japanese cars. Your standard of living will go down with the interest rates increasing, and then with them not loaning money to America anymore, your standard of living will go down, and there's nothing that the Democrats can give you because there will be nothing there to take. Just like if we keep giving people all this entitlement benefits, there'll be nothing left to give. So if someone telling you that a trade war is bad, not for America, a trade war is good for America. We're losing people. Stop being fooled by a CNN pundit. Go do your research. America has been at a trade deficit for a while now. It used to be up to, I think, $765 billion back in 2006, I believe. And then now we're down to $566 billion, which isn't bad. But 60% of that comes from China. And then now they made Mr. Xi, I think it's Xi Jinping. They made Mr. Xi, he's going to rule for life over there in China. And they made that a huge story. It's not a huge story. Not huge at all. China's been doing their own thing for a long time. Who cares? All we care about is how much we are making from doing business with you. I don't care who your leader is. Stop focusing on Xi Jinping and start focusing on the fact that Americans don't buy American. Anyone think about that? Look at your TV, look at your computer, look at the remote, look at your cell phone. How many of those say made in America? That's why we have a trade deficit. It's not Trump's fault. It's not even China's fault. It's the American citizens' fault. Because you want to be consumers. You don't want to be producers. Man, this is so interesting, right? America loses its competitiveness on a world scale in so many areas. Because guess what? We can get a pair of shoes made in China for like $5, right? And then if that shoe was made in America, it'd be $15. So then we outsource it to China, then bring it back to America. And even though it's going to cost money to transport those shoes back from China to America, just add another $2. So instead of paying $15, you're paying $7 because you got to pay for transportation. But when we start outsourcing all these jobs and all these services, Americans stop doing the job. So how many shoemakers do we still have in America because of the fact most shoes are made in Thailand and Malaysia? So now we're no longer competitive because we don't have a workforce who's interested in making shoes because that job is not even American anymore. So even if we want to take over that industry again, we can't. Who has shoemaking experience? Now apply that shoemaking situation to other areas that we're outsourcing. We are losing our competitive edge in so many different ways. And the trade deficit is all a part of that. We're globally inferior in so many areas due to the fact we try to be the lender of first resort. Lender of first resort means that when you need a loan, it's the first place you go to. Lender of last resort means that if you need a loan and nobody will loan to you, that's the last person that you would go to. We have become the lender of first resort. We've become the giver of first resort. Even with the American public, who's the giver of first resort? The American government. Now, I believe Thomas Jefferson said that the people can bail out the country. The country can never bail out the people. That's not the way it works. We need it to be strong. So the people need to invest in the country as a whole. But we only can invest in our people so much before it becomes a detriment. Jefferson saw that. He was the third president. The trade war is the best thing that could happen to America. It's the best thing that could happen. We are losing competitiveness. We're adding to our debt. We're becoming more enslaved financially to China and those other countries who hold our debt. We are building an unsustainable system. It's unstable. Economically, we are unstable. The things that made America great are not here anymore, not because of attrition, because of outsourcing, because of lack of work ethic, because of lack of innovation, because of this liberal hold hands type of situation because of participation trophies. These are all the things that diminish, distinguish, and make ambition extinct. And without ambition, no country can be great. Without innovation, no country can be great. And definitely without capital, no country can be great. We're going to lose out on our capital. We're going to have to borrow capital from China. So with that all being said, stop giving Mr. Trump a hard time about the trade war. It's the best thing that can happen for us. That's what's going to help make America great again. You thinking America first has anything to do with Trump? You're a fool. America first has everything to do with you and your children and your children's children and the generation after that. Don't you want it to actually be America? Don't you want them to have better living conditions? Then you need this trade war. If you want them to have better living conditions, turn off the TV, pick up a book. This is the voice of young America. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to help you be informed and be empowered to get up and do something. Stop being a gazelle. Be a lion. Be a lioness. Gazelles get ate. They're lunch meat. America's not lunch meat, and we will never be. This is the voice of young America. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Voice of Young America with Justin Austin. Connect with Justin at thevoyatampabay.weebly.com. The Voice of Young America on AM 860. The Answer.
I'm Justin Austin, host of The Voice of Young America. When it comes to complete auto repair and fast service, check out the pros at Autoland Center, 1308 East Bush Boulevard in Tampa, providing professional quality work on all American-made and foreign car models. Great pricing on complete auto repair services, oil changes, and brakes. Autoland Center at 1308 East Bush Boulevard, where experience and good service go a long way. Call 813-764-7891. That's 813-764-7891. Autoland Center.
The Voice of Young America relies on committed Americans like you to stand with us. If you're frustrated with the lack of real information being delivered to the next generation, then support Justin's efforts. Connect on social media, thevoyatampabay.weebly.com. Email thevoyatampabay@gmail.com. The Voice of Young America. To inform with truth and broadcast collectively and respectively the diverse ideals of young America.
Finding skilled and unskilled tradesmen can be a problem, whether it's temporary or long-term. Rose Employment Solutions handles all of your workers' comp needs while responsibly solving your staffing problems. You make the call, they do it all. 813-644-5037. And for the quality tradesmen in search of career growth, full-time hours, and multiple pay options, call Rose Employment Solutions, 813-644-5037. Learn more at rose-emp.com or just stop by their office, 1020 West Bush Boulevard in Tampa.
Welcome back to the Voice of Young America with Justin Austin. Connect with Justin by phone. Call 813-516-6851. 813-516-6851.
Welcome back to the Voice of Young America. I'm your star host, Justin Austin. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors at Autoland Center, 1308 East Bush Boulevard. Great service, folks. If you need an oil change, $14.99, free AC check, free general check. Check them out. All right, let's get into our next section. We're going to be talking about the effects of social media on society. One of the saddest stories I heard recently was this morning. There was a story on about a gentleman. Well, he's not even a gentleman. This guy who met these young girls. One happened to be 12. I don't know the other one's age. In Pasco County, Florida. He met them on this app. I don't know the name of the app. I wish I did so I can ban it. And he met them, took them to a family member's house. I don't know what kind of drugs he gave them. And then he had intercourse with them. And the guy said he thought she was 18. No way that you think a 12-year-old is 18. I don't care how she looks. When she opens her mouth, she'll sound like she's 12. So let's be completely honest. So you knew that from the get-go. So with that being said, why is a 12-year-old on social media? Why does a 12-year-old have access to social media without parental controls? You know, my stepdaughter says to me, can I have my own website, or can I have my own YouTube page, or can I have this? And I say no. Maybe when you're 16 or 17, and that's maybe. And not because I'm a smother father or something like that. It's because I don't trust the world. And there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. She's 6. She's almost 7. The only friends that she has, she sees in school or she sees on play dates. Why does she need to talk to them on social media? Is she going to see them in school Monday through Friday? Or she see them on the weekend? The same thing with this 12-year-old. I remember when I was 12, I had a pager. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. You know how many people paged me? 2 people. I kept that thing on at all times, like I was the coolest guy ever. I got a cell phone when I was 16 when I can pay for it out of my own pocket. I was working at Movie Code Theater in downtown St. Pete. We didn't have social media back then. I think the first thing we had was MySpace back in after I graduated from high school. But why is a 12-year-old on social media without parental controls? How can a 12-year-old be able to go somewhere without a parents knowing and be able to meet and talk to this guy? Let me tell you something about me, folks. Whenever my stepdaughter does reach of age to get on any type of social media, guess who will have a duplicate account? Me. Guess every time she sends a post, guess who's going to be able to see it? Me. Before the world sees it, guess who's going to see it first? Me. Why? So she'll never end up like that girl in Pasco County. Call me what you want to, but you're going to call me a father who cares about his daughter and make sure she's safe. Social media and so that's just one aspect, right? Children on social media, which is ridiculous. Ridiculous. If you are a parent and your kids have social media, you don't know their passwords, you don't know what they tweet about, you are a loser. Point blank, period. You suck as a parent. You should be fired as a parent. First and foremost, if you can't tell me your kid's email address, their Facebook password, their Twitter password, their Instagram password, if you can't tell me what's in their book bag right now, what's in their room right now, you suck as a parent. I can tell you what's under my stepdaughter's bed. She can't even tell you what's under her bed. Not because I need to have control, but I need to be a part of her life to the point where we help mold her into such a beautiful young lady. And you do that by making sure the environment is about Christ as much as you can before she goes out into that world. In the scripture, it tells us, raise your children up in the word, and then you'll send them off on the right footing. Your job is not to make sure that they're great adults. That's not your job. You can't control that. Your job is between 0 and 18 to raise them up in the word with good standing, good character, good exemplification of Christ. And then after that, you give them some advice, you give them some resources and things of that nature, but that's your job. It just blows my mind how you can be considered a parent, but you don't know what kind of YouTube. You know, my stepdaughter loves YouTube. That's cool with me. She has kids YouTube, and then everything she watches, I look over. Why wouldn't I? Why would she ever be able to access anything on the internet without you approving and knowing that it's good for her mind? Oh, I know why. Because you don't care what you put into your mind. Right now, if you open your CD player, your iPad, whatever, what kind of poison are you listening to? Right now, why you watching my show? Open your phone up, look at your YouTube videos, look at your search history, look at your iPod, look at your MP3 player, and count how much poison is in your iPod. So that's why you allow your kids to do that. You are a loser. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to wake you up. Stop allowing people to work harder than you in your relationships. So what do I mean by that? Let's go back to social media. Why does Facebook get more time with their family than you do? Why does Twitter get more time with your family than you do? Why does Instagram get more time with your family than you do? And you wonder why your family looks that way. Go out to a restaurant this evening, right? I want you to go out to the nicest or bummiest restaurant you can, right? Just go in, sit down, buy a drink. I want you to do an observation. Look how many people have their phones on the table and are spending time on their phone more than they're actually conversing with the person in front of them. You'd be surprised, right? Now, if it's two dudes, or if it's two women, or if it's a couple, or if it's a family. Now, the family one, oh man, that strikes me as interesting. You'll see the kid on their phone, you'll see mom and dad on their phone, and they'll look up and say something to each other, and then keep on their phones. That's not a family. That's a social network. That's what that is. That's crazy. Social media is a tool, it's a mechanism, it's great. I use it for the voyeur. I'm not knocking Twitter. I don't use Facebook, folks, so that's on you. But I'm not knocking social media. It's a platform where we can connect, we can grow with one another. I totally agree. But my life is not broadcast on YouTube or Facebook or anything. You know why? Because if you cared about my life, you'd be in my call log. If you cared about my life, or if I cared about yours, I'd be in your call log. I'd be on your text messages. I'd be in your Skype. But that's not the case. It's not. And then how many people are sour every single day because they see some kid from high school, right, that they went to school with, and this person have all these Photoshop pictures on there and they look all good, their family looks good? That's a lie. You're looking at other people's lives and becoming jealous. Social media has become a negative tool. And not because it's inherently negative. It's a beautiful, magnificent thing that God has allowed us to create. But what we've done with it, we've allowed the TV and social media to take over our children. That's ridiculous. How many kids get to get on Facebook before they do their homework? You're a loser if that's your child. And the reason I call you a loser, because that's a loser mind state. To allow the internet, the media, and strangers to have a greater impact on your family than you do, you a loser. Now let's talk about social media and relationships, right? Now in this new generation, a lot of people like to play the field, right? They like to play the field. They like to have more than one suitor at one time. And so what they'll do is that they have these Facebook or Twitter or Tinder or whatever the case may be. And so they meet someone and they're like, boom, I'm feeling this guy. I'm digging this guy. But I've been talking to 5 other dudes. So while I'm trying to build my relationship, these other dudes keep popping up in my news feed, right? They keep popping up on your wall, right? And then so when your new boyfriend was like, wow, I thought we were together. Well, I don't talk to him anymore. But why they keep popping up in your feed? Because you ain't curved them yet. Any woman who is into you and still got dudes popping up on her news feed is not really that into you. She should have curved the dude when she got with you. You know what curving means? Block. That's what that means. Block. So how can you pop up on my news feed if you're blocked? You can't. How can you pop up in my inbox? You can't. How many relationships have been fractured, destroyed, dismantled because of the fact that these people are on social media? That's ridiculous. Is your relationship secondary to your social media platforms? Besides the voyeur, I don't have any personal social media. I want to connect with people talking about politics, economics, and social issues all day long. I have a men's group, and this is a plug. We meet every Wednesday, every Thursday, 7 p.m., Baltimore, Panera Bread. Anyone's welcome. This is a men's group where we talk about life. We talk about Christ. But we have an app, the Voyeur app. We do have the Voyeur app. People check that out too. That's on Google Play Store. But we use WhatsApp. That's our social media tool. But I don't have any person, because you know why? Anyone that I connect with on a personal level, I'm going to call you. I'm going to text you. We're going to meet for coffee. What happened to those relationships? You know why people are feeling stressed out and alone? Because you are alone. You care about Facebook tweets and follows and all who's liking your page. If you get self-worth from likes and tweets and retweets, you are a loser. You have no self-worth. If you can't feel good about yourself when you wake up in the morning because you have a relationship with your Lord and Savior, then yes, you're losing on life. Social media is destroying the fabric of self-esteem. Social media is destroying the fabric of the family. Social media is destroying the mind state of people. And not because it's inherently bad. It's because that's what people get their news from now. So if you see a tweet come through that says, Donald Trump hates black people, boom, right there. That's it. You're done, right? You're done. Next time you see someone, you're going to say Donald Trump hates black people, or you're going to retweet it next. But tell me, how many people are going to close that social media app, go online, look at this story, go find the true transcript from Donald Trump, and make sure all of that lines up? Raise your hand if that's what you do. When you see a crazy soundbite in Instagram or whatever, what you do is that you put the social media down, you go find the report, you go find the transcript, and you make sure that it's fact before you ever repeat something again. Don't worry, I'll wait. I know it's very few of you. Let's peep this. What is social media doing to relationships? I got off Instagram. I have one for I have one for the Voya, but personally, I got off Instagram. I kept seeing all these Instagram models. I know Lil Wayne came out with a song called Instagram Models. I used to bump that before I actually realized it was poison. But it just made me, I started watching so much of other people, other people's lives, that it made me lose value. It encouraged me to lose value in my own woman. I love my fiance. She's a beautiful woman. She gives me everything I need on so many different levels, and we continue to try to grow. But I was losing appreciation for her because I was looking at so many other women that weren't even real. They were fake. They were airbrushed, and you couldn't see their dimples or their cellulite or their imperfections. I love every freckle on my woman's face. I don't even like when she wears makeup. I start losing that appreciation because I kept watching the world. Well, world, watch me. Watch me love her. Watch me love my stepdaughter. Watch me love my brothers in my men's group. Watch me love everyone I come in contact with. That's what we need to be doing. Building true relationships. Stop adding friends to your personal Facebook page that you don't even know. And if you do add someone, find out what their favorite color is. Find out if they're Christian or if they're Hindu or Muslim. Not to judge them, but to actually know them. Because if you actually get to know people and build relationships with them, you don't feel alone. You're not worrying about tweets and likes and retweets and things of that nature that don't count. You don't have self-esteem because you have put the value of yourself into your social profiles. Your social profile should only reflect the human being that you are when you are alone. It's called integrity. This is the voice of Young America. We're going to do this every single week. Some of you are going to stay, some of you are going to leave. That's up to you. But you're going to get this message. I'm here to put in work. My work is to inform and empower, and I will do that to the day that I die. And so until then, we're going to keep having these discussions. Drop your social media if your social media is destroying your family. The Voice of Young America. See you next week. Justin Austin.
You've been listening to The Voice of Young America with Justin Austin. The Voice of Young America relies on committed Americans like you to stand with us. If you're frustrated with the lack of real information being delivered to the next generation, then support Justin's efforts. Connect on social media, thevoyatampabay.weebly.com. Email thevoyatampabay@gmail.com. And be sure to join us next Saturday evening at 6 for The Voice of Young America here on AM 860. The Answer.